question which keeps popping up in my mind. And that's a very rare species for Indian zoos. Pakistani zoo also. It's a very, very rare species. And whenever India-Pakistan peace process comes, that rare species keeps popping up in my mind. They are called progressives in India. The progressives in India are these fantastic cause junkies, seminar tourists, fellowship junkies, PhD experts, 800-page writer on bilateral relation with the word paradigm and praxis coming 700 times, so that in this carefully pedicured Indo-Pakistan industry, they can occasionally do these manicured Aman Ki Asha meets. Fantastic. This amazing progressives of India have this lovely fundamental structure. See, in one lifetime, you can't be a BJP or an RSS. You have to die 5 lifetimes to even think of that. At the same point of time, it probably will take us multiple lifetimes to be an Indian progressive, because that's a fantastically fascist species. Because we have this lovely, excellent notion of even grading our protest. Which protest is sexiest? 25 years of Bhopal. How many dead? 6,840. The second gas leak, 22. Lesser gas leak, this one needs a t-shirt, that one needs a 1-minute silence. What is the most important draconian act? Pota? Iram Sharmila has to not eat for about 10 years to finally whisper and say, hello, I am relevant, my name is not Chandrasekhar Rao, please talk about Armed Forces Special Power Act 1958. The question here is, for every Baloch that Pakistan created, we created a Manipur. For every Bhutanese kicked out in a nondescript camp in Siliguri, waiting to come back to a Bhutan which is fundamentally pro-India in our general operations concerning China and rotting somewhere in Tista, we also understand that is the lesson that Pakistan forgot about East Pakistan, and hence Bangladesh happened. So the question here is, the most classic seminar general diatribe is, government versus government has failed. Yeah, they have failed. So what now? As correctly Manishankar Iyer has said. So what now? What's the way forward? The way forward is, of course, government. But the way forward is not this disgustingly fashionable word called track 2 diplomacy, as if the track 1 is number 1, BV number 1. Track 1. Track 1 has happened, now let's do track 2. What is track 2? Take 7 cultural icons of a country from India who has zero politics as far as their performing arts, their sculpture, their painting is concerned, export them to Lahore, import 8 Lahore artists who have zero politics, and then have these Humayun Tomb love songs for Sark bands meet. Because both of them have generally sang about love, which is sanitized, antiseptic, and absolutely clean. That's our art community. So the question here is collective myopia. The question here is, the same progressive has not raised the question about the quality of textbooks in both the countries. If education is the reply, then look at an average Indian and Pakistani textbook. Give me one course in LUMS where Taimur works, where they actually discuss the word mass, the word cooperative, and the fundamentals of Gandhi. Give me one textbook in India that goes beyond one single line that Frontier Gandhi, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, Khudai Khidmatgar, he was a Pathan, he was generally non-violent, what a great thing. He was far more than that. He was rotting in jails in Pakistan. There's no question, there is not even a mention in our historical textbook. How do we mend fences? On one hand, you can't be a rightist. On another hand, you can't be a progressive who, in the progressiveness, chooses to market his or her myopia. So Sachin Tendulkar would be well known across both the countries simply because of the fact that cricket happens to be a financial money spinner. But a Jahangir Khan or a Jamshed Khan's revolution concerning squash in a Pakistan which was far more tighter than now will not filter and reach here simply because at some point of time we are not here to study icons. We are here to look at icons who are occasional filmmakers, occasional rock stars and occasionally sexy figures who make damn good photoshopped cover. Have we really exchanged narratives? Have we really looked at each other's people's history? Have we really looked at the fact, as Suhail correctly pointed out, what would be the economic benefit? Have we really looked at the fact, in another very relevant point of Suhail's, about the whole idea of Germany coming together and the whole idea of what reunification can bring despite birth pangs and despite separation? At least in terms of writing. At least in terms of media intervention, at least in terms of somewhere down the line, a cultural intervention in the so-called absolutely irrelevant plays of a National School of Drama or a Madhya Gauhar coming from Pakistan. And that's where the question is, that entire collective myopia of choosing to overlook. There can be a progressive movement that talks about syllabus. There can be a progressive movement that talks about comparative human rights. There can be a progressive movement that talks about resettlement of victims, whether it's Pakistan or India. There can be a progressive movement where we ask the question, the role of different kind of armies in different contexts. There can be a question concerning what is the nature of two displacements. There can be a question much beyond the time-tested nuclear policy or somebody writing in some air-conditioned room in America, some reluctant fundamentalist. There can be questions far beyond that. And that's the point. The point is, what are those questions? The quality of our protest is very poor. Our Prime Minister happens to be a Rajya Sabha MP from Assam. Now he is in a political context where finally 1984 displaced people had to be given money because it was a political compulsion, necessity, maybe his kindness and relevant kindness. So what about 1983 Nelly? Is Nelly a forgotten massacre? Is Nelly a less sexier massacre? Is Malom Mokokchung a less sexier massacre in northeast of India? When are we talking about what is the white paper about enemy properties when people came down in droves in Calcutta and turned the 1971 Calcutta into one big Bangladeshi refugee camp? What was the reply of Calcutta? The reply of Calcutta was some of the most sharpest political art of our times. Where have those political artists gone? Co-opted, sold, bought, and completely silenced. Because if you're talking political relevant art in this country, we have a lovely lottery to give you. The price of keeping shut. We call it Padma Shri. If you keep shut for more number of years, Padma Bhushan. Even more number of years, Padma Vibhushan. Bharat Ratna, of course, occasionally happens because if you generally die, or you're a legend, or like Satyajit Ray, you win an Oscar, then you slip into coma, you have to quickly be given an Oscar because we also did it after them. So that's the question. And that is where we are not answering ourselves. This is what